Hi and welcome to another Revit PR video. Usually we discuss tips and strategies to be more efficient in Revit. This time will be a little different. Instead, we'll be talking about failure. In my 10 years experience as a BIM manager, I've witnessed multiple epic Revit fails. The good news is that you can often build great standards and new techniques based on these failures. So in this video, I'll be talking not only about the failures, but also about the lesson learned. The first epic fail is called the floating floor. We were working on a hotel project with 13 users. And suddenly on a day we had to deliver construction documents, we saw a floating floor in the middle of the hotel project. And everybody freaked out. We asked everyone who moved the floor by mistake, and nobody admitted to their mistake. And we had to fix it. Check every tags, every annotation to make sure nothing of importance was lost. But then when you put it back, you're never quite sure if it is at the right place or not. And the lesson learned about this is to always use the pin tool, which is available in the Modify tab. Make sure to pin all the major model elements. Something else that you can use is the Who Did That tool from PyRevit. PyRevit is an amazing free plugin, and you should download it right now if you don't already have it. If you go to the Team sub-menu, you will see Who Did That. Select the tool and click on an element. PyRevit will tell you who's the last user that modified that element. The second fail is updating the Revit model. In Revit, if you update a file, let's say from Revit 2020 to Revit 2021, you cannot go back, and Revit 2020 cannot open a Revit model from Revit 2021. That means if you're working on a project with multiple users and consultants, it's never a good idea to update the model. So always make sure to agree with consultants on which version is going to be used. In our case, an intern thought it was a good idea to update the model and just did so. That caused a lot of trouble, and we had to revert back to an older version because the consultant didn't want to update the model. The third fail is called different groups, phases, work sets, and split phases. In a major project, we created groups for repetitive hotel interior elements. These groups contain elements in different work sets. They also contain elements in different phases. And then they also contain walls with split faces. Most BIM managers with some experience are probably laughing at this because that's how you create chaos. The group started to have problems and inconsistencies. The phases were all messed up, the split faces were deleted automatically, or they just started to randomly move around. The lesson learned was keep it simple. Avoid groups and don't use WORKSETS for visibility. So like in this example, we decided to use families with furniture instead of creating groups. That is great for model performance. We also use a new system for creating interior elevations and interior finishes. You can see the link in the description below to have more information. The fourth fail is rendering props showing up in construction documents. We all love Enscape and the great assets and entourage families inside of it. You have to be careful when using that model for renderings, because when you put assets, they might end up being visible in construction documents. That happened to us multiple times. I usually recommend not using WORKSETs for visibility. That might be the exception. I like to create a renderings WORKSET and put all the assets, everything used strictly for renderings in that WORKSET and set it not visible by default. So as you can see here, I take all the assets and switch them to this specific WORKSET, and they all disappear from the construction documents. The fifth epic fail is model in place madness. In a project, we had a complicated railing element that only appeared once in the project, and we were on a strict deadline, and a user said, you know what, I'm just going to use the model in place tool. It will be quickly done. But then later on in the project, it turned out that the specific element had to be copied to multiple other railings elements. And if you try to copy and paste model in place, you always create chaos. It never works properly. And model in place is just not a good tool. And sometimes we would synchronize and the model in place would start to randomly move. So it's kind of a buggy feature in Revit. The lesson learned from this is that model in place sucks. Don't use that tool at all. Always create families instead. It's much better for your model performance. Model in place is just not a good tool. The epic fail number 6 is plan nodes confusion. So among the years, we've built this amazing plan node system that is super efficient and easy to use. But on the first couple of years, we did have some issues with it. When creating plan nodes, you could have multiple nodes with the same number, but with a different text. And that would make the node disappear in the schedule. So that was extremely confusing for users. That created a lot of problems. The lesson learned from this is a quick, easy fix if you are using the system, which by the way, you can find in the link in the description below, is in your NotBlog schedule to sort by node number than to sort by text. This way you will never get empty rows instead of descriptions. The final fail at number 7 is detail groups insanity. We used to create detailing using 2D groups inside views that allowed us to use the same detailing for multiple views on multiple scales. You just had to copy and paste the group from one view to another. At first it worked well, but when you had multiple views and things started to get complicated, it just turned into a nightmare. Groups are pretty buggy in Revit, especially complicated groups with lots of elements inside them. Element would start to move around, groups would be inconsistent, you would get warnings like this, and it was just a bad situation. We decided to switch the way we created detailing. Detail groups are pretty bad, so we started to create detail components instead. And we started to stop detailing on big scale views. We just put the detailing on the small scale views and keep the big scale views kind of empty and just refer the callouts. That's a much better way to use it, so avoid detail groups for detailing. It's not a great idea, unless you really have to. That's it for this video. Please subscribe to the channel and check out our learning packages. The first one is Basics. It is made for beginners. It is the best and most fun way to learn Revit online. And the other learning package is called Design. It is made for designers and architects, and it is used to create beautiful presentation views using Revit and renderings, VR experience. Check it out at revitpure.com/basics and revitpure.com/design, or check the links in the description below. Thank you so much and see you later.